Welcome back to the Movie Reedviews channel. This is Movie Talk with Cody Reed. So I'm going to talk about the most anticipated movies I have for 2016. Later on I have a couple videos for like my surprises and disappointments as well as my best and worst for this year, 2015. But for this video, let's just talk about what's coming out next year and what I'm most excited for. So I do have a few honorable mentions that I'll start with, and then I got my top 10 most anticipated after that. So 3 honorable mentions, one of which is Passengers. It'll be coming out, I think, at the end of next year, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt, where they're like in space on a mission, but everyone's asleep, but then Chris Pratt wakes up, so he wakes up Jennifer Lawrence too, so that way he's like not alone on this trip. Sounds really interesting. You also have The Secret Life of Pets. It's like maybe a DreamWorks animated movie, but it looks hilarious because it's what everyone thinks about, like, oh, what are my pets doing when I'm home? And the last honorable mention is the Star Trek Beyond movie coming out next year, which is the third one in the rebooted franchise. The trailer looked interesting, but I think it was mostly just the music that I had a problem with. It still looks like a really fun time and a great installment to the franchise. Alright, here we go. Number 10 on my list is Independence Day Resurgence. It comes out in June of next year, right before Independence Day, and it looks pretty interesting actually. Like from the trailer, it looks pretty like dark and a good coming back to the original movie that came out like 20 years ago, but we're using the alien technology to try to boost our technology for when they come back. So it looks pretty interesting and I really like the trailer. So number 9 on my list is Zootopia, which comes out like in March of next year. It's the newest Disney animated movie, not from Pixar, but just Disney. And it looks pretty interesting because you get to see these animals walk and talk and have jobs and interact with one another. The scene that they showed with the DMV and the sloths was hilarious. If you haven't seen it, go see it for yourself. But I'm looking really forward to that because it looks just funny and a good time. Number 8 for me is the next Marvel movie, or at least one of them, Doctor Strange. Comes out in November of next year, and it's like one of the next installments, like I mentioned, for Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It looks like it's going to delve more into like the mystery and the magic behind the Marvel movies and the characters, so I'm looking forward to that, and it has Benedict Cumberbatch in it. Moving on to number 7, about a year from now, is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So it's basically a Star Wars spin-off movie, and especially after Star Wars coming back with Episode 7 and being a great installment, it's not going to be Episode 8 or like a next installment of that, but it's going to be a side story focusing on basically the events between 3 and 4, where the rebels are getting the plans to the Death Star and like that mission that they went on. So it sounds pretty interesting, and hopefully it'll be good. After that, number 6 is The Jungle Book. It's directed by Jon Favreau, the director of Iron Man, and it's all CGI besides like the little boy. So basically they took the boy actor and then put him in a bunch of green screen rooms, and they made everything else digital, like the animals and the effects. It's all through a computer besides maybe like some other sets. But that's pretty interesting because the trailer looked amazing, the effects looked really good, and it just looks like a good live action adaptation from the cartoon version. My number 5 comes out in May of next year, XMen Apocalypse. After having X-Men Days of Future Past a couple of years ago, which I thought that movie was amazing, X-Men Apocalypse looks like it continues that, takes place like in the 70s or the 80s, and they have to fight Apocalypse, who's like the first mutant ever, and it kind of has like some ramifications with that, like, oh, he's been around forever, all these like people and cultures think that he's like a god, or like that has these great powers, and so it looks like he's going to be a very interesting and complex, cool villain for the X-Men to fight. Alright, we're getting up there. Number 4 is Suicide Squad. So this is going to be in the DC Cinematic Universe after Batman vs. Superman next year. Like in August of next year will be Suicide Squad, focusing on all these villains who are forced by the government to perform these tasks and these missions, and if they don't, they get axed, they get killed, so they have to do it with no other option. And so it looks interesting, plus you have Joker and Harley Quinn in it. I'm super excited for that one. Number 3, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Comes out in November of next year, and I am a big Harry Potter fan. I love those movies. I think they did an awesome job converting the books to the movies with what they had to do, because you can't convert everything in the book to the movie. You only get like 2 hours, and I think it was a great franchise movie-wise. So Fantastic Beasts is like a prequel to Harry Potter about this guy who's organizing a textbook about all these beasts, and they get released while he's studying them into New York, and it takes place like in the 1920s. So it'll be a little different, but still in the wizarding world, so I really want to go there again. Number 2 on my list, Captain America Civil War. Just like a couple years ago with X-Men Days of Future Past, a couple years ago in the same year we had Captain America the Winter Soldier, which I think is one of the best Marvel movies to date. So you have Captain America Civil War, where Captain America is trying to protect his friend Bucky because he's only, like, one of his only connections to his time period, and plus Bucky had to deal with a bunch of stuff, so he's protecting his friend while Iron Man is kind of siding with the government, saying that we need these restrictions in place. And so you have Captain America versus Iron Man in the movie, and a bunch of the other Avengers are going to be there, so I'm super stoked to see that on film. And my number 1, if you couldn't tell by my shirt, with like Batman and Superman, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Now, we've had a couple trailers, and some people have been a little dissuaded by things that have happened in there, like showing a little bit of Wonder Woman and showing maybe some of the third act, which we're not sure, but we're guessing it's the third act with Doomsday. And I'll reserve judgment on those until I see the movie, but I'm just super stoked to see Batman and Superman for the first time on screen. I think Ben Affleck's Batman is actually going to be pretty interesting and pretty cool, because I wasn't into it at first, but already seeing him from the trailers being this like dark, grizzled, old Batman, I'm just super stoked to see them on screen and fight both verbally and physically, whatever. I'm really excited. So there we go. A lot of my top 10 and just most anticipated in general are going to be the bigger budget movies, at least right now, because we don't have trailers for the smaller movies, or maybe we haven't heard about them yet. So I'm really excited to see a lot of these movies, and just seeing what comes out in 2016 as well, the ones that weren't on my list. Maybe some good surprises. So make sure to drop some comments below. Let me know, what are your most anticipated movies for next year? I want to kind of compare lists and see what you like. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can get updates on other videos I'll make. And then lastly, send me some emails, moviereedviews@gmail.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next year.